We'll turn up the volume here in a minute. But yeah, name is Neil Weber, Kilo Mike 4, November Whiskey Hotel. I'm part of the Kingsport Amateur Radio Club. You know, a few months ago we started talking to Ben and then Adam about possibly getting together and swapping some presentations. So I guess I'm the first of that, and look forward to hopefully being able to swap a few more in the future. So thank you for letting me come tonight. I did this at my club. It's a presentation on the, if it still works by the time I get it through, I'm going to pass this around. This is the SDRPlay rsp1a. There are several options available for panadapters, but I did a lot of research before I set up mine, and this just did a beautiful job and got very good reviews. Little box there is about $105, $110, and it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper than going out and spending $3 grand on a flex radio these days, and that's for a cheap one, you know, to give you your spectrum analyzer control of your rig. The little device has changed the way I do radio. You know, I no longer sit there rotating a dial on the front of my radio. I don't even look at the radio anymore. Everything's right at the computer. And I'm looking at the whole band, and when I see a conversation I want to check out, I just click on it. It automatically takes the radio there. We'll get into that a little bit more here. A little bit about this device. First off, price. I'm kind of in the way here. Right off of the ham radio outlet page. What are these things going for now? All right, $120. I lied. But $120 right off the radio page. And I had a little something with the data sheet on it. You can look this up anywheres, but pretty much it goes the entire band, low frequencies, you know, high frequency, VHF, UHF, L band, 2 gigahertz. It'll cover all that. What is it? It's a receiver. Your computer is actually doing the control of the rig, and the software controls it. But Ben, a few months ago, did a presentation at our club on computer control. So if you've got the computer control set up, which you've already had a presentation on that, it will work and make you go. I was thinking about doing a video myself. And when I got on YouTube, boy, I found everything I needed already pre-made and pre-done, so I just downloaded the YouTube video. So I'm going to play that for you real quick. And then we'll talk about some other stuff. Getting going here. Let me know where I need to set the volume, etc. But
here we see SDRPlay set up with a single VRX as a panadapter controlling the Kenwood 590SG. In its current mode, with the rig sync button depressed, anytime we change the tuning within SDRPlay, it will be reflected by the rig. So for example, if we move to this other signal I see down here, we find that straight away the rig has followed us down to 14.0735.
the rig and the...
Conversely, if we change the tuning on the rig itself by moving the dial, we find that SDRPlay will follow us. So we have bidirectional sync between the rig and SDRPlay. But something else we can do is, if we pick up a signal that we're working on the rig, for example here, we can turn off the rig sync button, and that allows us in SDRPlay to go and look at what else may be going on. For example, this signal at 14.247, we can leave the rig where it is, and we can turn on the audio in SDRPlay, and so we can monitor what else is going on in the band without adjusting the rig itself. Obviously, at that point, if we decide we want to move to the new frequency, we turn the rig sync button on again, and it will move the rig to correspond and stay in sync with SDRPlay. Quite a useful feature. But something else you can do, while leaving the rig working one particular frequency, we can turn rig sync off, and we can go look at another band. So we can look at 30 meters, see what's going on there. And again, if we see any signals that look like they might be of interest, we can tune into them in SDR-Uno, listen into them by unmuting the audio. And again, if we wish to tune the rig, we just turn the rig sync back on. While we're at it, let's have a look at 20 meters. Well, we were at 20 meters before, let's go to 40 meters. And again, we see some activity going on here. We can tune into this signal, and if we decide that I don't think we particularly want to listen to that, we can try this one, for example. Run someone that's transmitting for us. And see that in better. And we can now set the rig to follow us again by clicking on the rsp1a button. And now the rig is working the same frequency. To get rid of the echo effect, we can now mute the sound on the PC and just listen through the rig speakers. So you can do this at will. You can scan through all the bands. Because of the bandwidth of SDR-Uno, you could in fact just take the entire 10 megahertz of spectrum that you can sample and look across multiple bands at the same time, for example 20, 30 and 40 meters. But this is a basic introduction to how you can build a basic panadapter using SDR-Uno to synchronize with your rig, and the extra flexibility you get by being able to check out other signals while leaving the rig undisturbed, or going for true full bidirectional sync between the rig and SDR-Uno. I hope you found this useful. Thank you.
So you can kind of see from that what you're doing with the control. It's giving you the spectrum analyzer capability where you can see the strength of the signal, you can zoom in on the signals, and you can also add your filters and everything else. There's the ability to control just about every feature of that radio right there on the screen. SDR-Uno is the software package that comes free with this. You download it. All that comes when you order that is a little plastic box with a piece of paper in it, and in this box. Pretty simple and straightforward to hook up. Now, if you are already using something like Ham Radio Deluxe or FL Digi, you're already controlling your radio. You've already got the radio control figured out. The one thing that you do need is you've got to have a way to hook into the antenna that you have for your HF rig. Now, a lot of the newer radios have it where that goes on directly through the radio, and it gives you a port off the back of the radio. For instance, the 590 is what I'm using at home, the Kenwood 590 SG. The Kenwood 590 does not have that capability, but the 590 SG does. It actually gives you an output port for your audio, or for your signal from the antenna that I hook this directly into. If your radio does not have that capability, there's a second piece of equipment that you're going to have to get. A lot of the older rigs, like a 706 or something like that, you would need to get this other piece of equipment. And what it is doing, let's see here.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today's review is about the MJ1700-08.
What it's going to do is you're trying to find a way where you can tie into that antenna, but you're never going to get the power off your radio going to the antenna to go into this device, because you'll only do it once. The second it happens, it's fried. You go putting 100 watts into this, you go putting 2 watts into this, and it's done. So what you're trying to do is to avoid that. MFG makes a device that takes care of that pretty nice for you. It's the MFG 1708, and I'm thinking that it retails for right about the same price, $120. So even if you have to invest in that, you get $240, maybe a cable, another $10, $250, and you've got all the control of your rig at home, very similar to having a flex radio that they want the thousands of dollars, not to mention, I love putting it on a big screen at my radio station and having one monitor playing with the QRZ, the log contacts, and my DX heat and things. And then on the other screen, I've got the panadapter showing, the SDR Uno, where I'm controlling all my rig right there. A little bit about this, I'll play it.
which is an SDR relay switch. Let me explain. Let's say you have a main transceiver and you want to use an SDR receiver as well, and you want to share the antenna between the two devices. Well, this unit will let you do that. It's able to handle up to 200 watts, but if you have an amp, an HF amplifier, you can put it between your radio and the HF amplifier, so there won't be any risk for it. It also supports HF, VHF, and UHF. That means if you have a PTT switch that you can use on your VHF, UHF radio, let's say like my Kenwood TS2000, well, you can actually use the PTT port, and then you can share an antenna between a scanner, an SDR.
A little bit about that. The PTT port, if your radio on the back has the PTT out, it's just a signal saying that you are transmitting right then. It works much better, although it doesn't have to happen. This thing will have a automatic cutoff that as you start powering up, I think it's like, what was it? I read the specs, 40 milliwatts or something. As you're powering up, it will cut this off. Your radio hooks here, your antenna hooks here, and this goes to your SDR. And what it does is whenever the push to talk or the power, or this device sees the power starting to go up, it cuts this port off, so that the box never sees the power from the radio. Now, you'll have to research your individual radio. Unless you have a Kenwood 590SG or a 590, I can't answer whether your rig has the ability to give you the antenna output that you're looking for. Tell you what, I think that explaining that is a lot better than watching the rest of the video, but little device here is the niftiest one I've found for doing that. I didn't have to use it. If your radio's got the capability for an antenna out, you probably will not have to use that. Definitely research it though, because it's a $120 mistake if you mess it up. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a little presentation where we're actually trying this thing out. Now, however, I am realizing that we are in the basement, and these little antennas I brought are not the best to begin with.
All these walls are metal studs.
And metal, this is going to be, I was trying to search around earlier. I didn't get much, but we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we'll still be able to do this. Let me see if I can start with 2 meters. And we'll see if we can find anything. Now I realize that this is just a receiver. I'm not controlling a radio. We're not talking. I'm just demonstrating the SDR Uno software package. It works great as just a receiver if that's what you're looking for. Heck, $100 and you've got a nice little receiver where you can go tuning through all the radio frequencies, etc. First off, before you have to turn it on using this play button right here, and maybe I should get off to the side here. I don't know how this is set up, but can everybody see? Yeah. This play button right here, when you press it, it goes ahead and cranks the unit up. I want to mention this little display over here. This is a gain control, kind of like a input selection for your antenna. I normally do like to turn it up. Also here on the settings, it's very easy to monitor, change the way that your output looks. And I'm trying to dial it in where hopefully we can see something a little bit better. But we just are not getting much of anything right now. You can see how I can switch around. There's several different ways to change frequencies. You can just come down and move your mouse around down here. It tells you right here where you're about to go. Now there's a feature that turns this on and off, but if I click it right now, it tells me where I'm about to go. I can also come up here. I can use my mouse dial to do it manually. And if I move over, you can move bands very easily this way. Of course, why am I on 20? I want to be on...
Now, this display that we're seeing, is that the display for the player
Now
box?
this is the display of what this is receiving.
Okay, so that's not a particular setup for a particular rig.
It's going to look the same no matter what your rig is.
Rig, okay.
No matter which rig you have, this is going to look the same.
On HDR, or HRD, you know, they have a different, kind of a different display for different radios. That's the
Well,
question I was asking.
the one thing you can do is you can customize this. If I don't want to see one of these things, then I actually remember how to do this now. Where is that button? Yeah, I can eliminate individual screens. So if I only want to see these screens, and then I can size them and make it the way I want. The button I push there is kind of important. If you push this button, it locks them all as one unit. So now if I minimize one, I've minimized them all. But if I uncheck that, now I can minimize just one item. So it kind of locks it up together as one package or unlocks it.
They still have a law saying you're not allowed to own equipment that would receive cell phone frequencies.
Is it illegal to, I thought you could monitor just about anything.
You can't,
You can't buy a
you
scanner.
can't hear cell phones anymore.
No, they're
I
digital.
think that they have it like encrypted.
It's
Encrypted where you aren't going to be able to
It's
listen to it
digitized,
here,
encrypted.
but yeah.
Okay, so you can, so no block frequency,
You can listen to the frequency, but it's going to sound like a,
Yeah.
digital or something like that.
I
This,
when cell phones first came out, that was a big deal. They didn't want people on the TV radio.
well, with this thing, you can go anywhere and listen to just about anything with your,
Says here 1 kilohertz all the way up to 2 gigahertz. That's pretty impressive.
and you can monitor anything all the way through there. The other thing is they have databases set up. You'll notice I just downloaded one. And what it is what, I've got to turn the filter above here. So if I click on something, it'll come up and show you what you're listening to. Like the top, normally there's a list of, like, if it's on an HF frequency, there'll be 8 different selections there. And you just kind of roll through and say, yeah, I bet that's what it is, because I'm not in China someplace. It's probably this one in Arizona that I'm listening to. So real neat for just scanning through the bands, and it automatically tells you where you're at. I am just not getting much of anything on 2 meters. So a little bit more about it down here. You can zoom in and out and really zoom in to look at any individual signal to see what happens. I know I was with a guy on HF, and we were in single sideband, and for some reason he was broadcasting on both bands, upper and lower. And when I mentioned that, it was removing the carrier, but he was broadcasting on both. And we finally got through where he reset the factory configurations, and it switched back where he was good, and I was able to tell him, hey, you're good again. Okay. So you're able to look at the signal itself. You're also able up here to change your filter area. If you want to listen to more of a signal or less of a signal. It's automatically, this is FM, so it's automatically set to FM. A few other things, if you want to change your mode, AM, FM, CW, dual sideband, lower sideband, upper sideband. You got your notch filters, everything all your regular filters that you have. Looking at your radio, you don't have to go to your radio.
CW.
What's that?
How narrow can you go on CW?
How narrow would you like to go? Right here, you're adjusting your own filter. Now realize that that's what this is giving you. If your radio's not capable of giving you that filter.
Well, if that's your only radio, can you
Now realize this won't transmit.
Okay, well, if you're trying to receive CW, can you get it real narrow so you can filter out the other CW stations on a slightly different frequency?
Yes, you can take it right here. You just grab it. How narrow do you want to go?
And then you can adjust the pitch of the pass frequencies.
Not used to it. I've never done CW, to be honest.
Okay, sorry about my antiques and nerdity here.
No,
You can tune
I
off,
think that you could.
You can tune up and down a little bit, and it will change
Yeah,
it will change the pitch of the CW.
just like sideband.
Well, I'm at a point, I can, I'm just rolling just a little bit to change my frequency right here with the scroll of the mouse.
It'll make it, you can zero like zero beat and go right down.
Okay, you can pay big bucks for narrow little filters in your IF on your traditional receiver.
Right.
And
Well, the thing is, normally when I have my radio going, this little button over here, they mentioned it in the presentation. If I click this, I've just muted this. Now, that's pretty important, because what happens is if you're listening to your radio through your speaker or your headphones, it's kind of giving you that echo effect, where you hear it here and there, and it's not quite in sync, and so you only want to listen to one. But where I do unmute it is exactly what he was saying in the video. What I like to do is I go up here to this rsync. When it's pressed, you're controlling your radio. When it's unpressed, you're not tied to the radio. So I can be sitting here talking to somebody on HF and say, hey, let me go see if so-and-so's over on 40 meters. I can go on this, I'm still talking to him on 20 meters, and I'm looking someplace else and listening to the conversation on the computer. Yeah, hey, they're over there. You want a QSY? All right, QSY. And boy, as soon as I say QSY, I just hit this button. The radio is now exactly where this is.
okay, if you had two stations on exactly the same frequency, one transmitting lower sideband, the other transmitting upper sideband, can you select one and not hear the other too much?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You have your choice.
You have, yes. Obviously, you can select lower sideband here. or you can, you know, do your, up here, you're actually able to show at the 0 point. Right now we're in lower sideband, right here at the 0. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and take some of the upper sideband. I'll just drag this thing over, and now I'm hearing both.
I know rejection was a big deal, like you went up a fraction of a kilohertz and you wanted to just chop it off, and they had the real super expensive filters, and you don't need that, you can do it with software in this.
It's all software, this is completely software defined.
Wow.
Now that's just this receiver. When you're doing that portion of it, I'm not sure you get control on your rig for that filter. So I'm not saying that this is going to change the need to put those CW filters in your rig, but it works very nicely when you're just trying to tune something in here.
How does the performance of this compare with your receiver in your Kingwood? One better than the other as far as sensitivity or selectivity?
You're using the same antenna, and as far as selectivity, I'll tell you, I can't tell much of a difference, to be honest.
I've got a small SDR I use for receiving, and I got a TS2000, and I think that is a much better receiver.
That the SDR is,
Yes.
or the 2000? This?
Yes, the SDR. I couldn't, the first time I tried one of those, I couldn't believe how well it picked up.
Well, they call that a beginner's.
And it was
Right,
as
what's
good
the
as
advanced price?
$10,000 receiver that you paid.
I just looked at the ad for that, they call it a beginner's.
Oh, the rsp1a. They also made an rsp1 that didn't have quite as much sensitivity, quite as much the features. And then they make an rsp2, which is a dual band type thing where you can be monitoring 2 bands at the same time. But for the price difference and for controlling your rig, the rsp1a for most ham radio, you know, amateur use, this is the one that I think is the one to have, unless you have a need to be monitoring dual bands at the same time.
Do you think that Uno software would work on my SDR? You think
Yes, I
it's a good
do.
setup?
I have
Because that's
tried.
better software than what we use now. That we get whoever wrote it, somebody in Europe or somewhere. It works, but you know, it's kind of complicated running and putting it all together to make it work. And if
I've
that's
downloaded, there's several software packages out there
Yeah.
that I've downloaded, and they all worked with this, all of them. But I've just found that the SDR Uno was the easiest to
Well,
understand
it looks,
for
yeah,
my use.
it looks much easier. Then there's a couple of little back files or something you gotta run. You know, make sure that you're running it for the drivers to recognize the SD.
Well, they ask you for,
The
when you go
SDR
to download this software, I think they ask you for the serial number of your unit or something.
Okay.
But it's freeware.
It's freeware if you can
But
download it. I'll
if
try
you can
and see.
download it, it's,
Yeah.
and if you can't,
It
get in touch with me, I'll
looks
email
like
you the
a much
file.
better
It's a
software. than
great
what I'm
little
using.
software package. For some reason.
So what inexpensive thing around the house will function as an antenna just for receive only?
Long wire. I hooked my mystery antenna up to it for HF, and it does a number. You can hook, you get ready just to run a long fence wire, electric fence wire across the trees
Beverage antenna?
to use for just this receiver.
Back in the old rotary dial used to, they would just hook onto their phones and
Oh.
replace it.
Well, yeah, it could work.
I'm just looking for something that's already there.
Usually, you know, HF, a long wire does good for HF. shortwave receiving, you
Now,
know.
does the Dayton ham benches still exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few more things about it. Gonna go ahead and try 40. These buttons up here are quick switches between bands. I did bring a 40 meter antenna in. I'm not expecting to find much.
And you have to swap the antenna out, right?
I will, on my rig at home, it's the same one that's going to the radio. So, you know, I've got my antenna switch, and it switches the radio, and when it does, it automatically switches both of them. So I'm on the same.
I have to switch between UHF and VHF. I have to switch, put VHF.
Obviously, with these little antennas, I'm sitting here undoing it in the back and hooking it up. But
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question I meant to ask is what do you do for lightning protection, say you run a long wire out there in the yard?
Disconnect it.
Disconnected, but if it wants to run in, it'll generate it. You'll direct it.
And I remember a cartoon in somebody's magazine. It had something like a city block had several houses. It had all these big, huge antennas just everywhere. And you see a series of bolt of lightning coming down and went all around all the one antennas and hit the little long wire at the bottom.
Always protect them.
You just went around and hit the little one down.
You get direct hit, you're government.
Yeah.
Let's see, a couple of things about it. Once you're on a frequency, I'm trying to see if I can find anything that's actually coming in. Not much there. But you can use these buttons down at the bottom to zoom in and zoom out. You can see my filter growing. It's just that my area that I'm monitoring is shrinking. And this allows you to really zoom in and look for signals, look for weak signals, etc. And I'm just not seeing anything to show you for examples here. This might be a signal.
If I'm not wrong, these SDRs originated out of Europe. They used them to watch TV.
Yep, that's what I've got.
They used them to watch TV, and some ham operators said, hey, we can write some software and make this thing pick up everything.
Oh, they use software to watch a TV picture and all?
They did in Europe, yeah, that's where they come from.
Yeah.
I got a software that works on it that will let you track real-time airplanes within so many miles of your area. It'll put a radar scope and show you the plane, and it'll tell you the information, the tail number, if it's American or whoever, where it took off from, where it's going. And this is real-time. You're picking it up with an antenna, a little short antenna. And that's that same device that he's got there. It's just another set of software that lets you do that. I'm an airplane buff, you know. It took me to death. I throw up a screen on with that radar over there and sit there and track planes. And then you can go online to FlightAware or someplace, put that tail number into that plane, bam, it'll bring it right up, show it to you, tell you everything about it. So you're seeing it real time. It's a little delayed when you go to FlightAware through the internet. Everything's delayed a little bit. I got him started in it, yeah.
50,000 planes he's tracking.
Yeah, I got him started in. He had to throw up an antenna for it.
Well, I am not picking up any signals in this building at all. Does anybody have a 2-meter radio on?
If they got a handheld here.
Yeah, if somebody's got a handheld, just to see what the signal looks like.
Normally somebody does.
Yeah, David, you got a handheld with you? Nobody got one tonight.
And I should have, I'll usually bring one.
I should have brought one, but
The city put in $10 million, 800 radio system, about the time it's building this hospital.
I tell you what you might try, local police.
Get out.
it's not worth going after the car, I don't think. What frequency?
155.595.
Yeah, that's police PD.
That's Bristol, Virginia. They're still analog.
I'm kidding, 100 grand and it's metal everywhere around. No wooden studs in this building, I want you to go up.
This thing's probably not resonant at that frequency, but you'd still expect it to get it. I mean, I'd get it with nothing.
Well, they had to finally put relays in here for your phones.
Oh,
You better do that.
yeah, if I put it on the 2-meter antenna, it'd probably work better.
Hey, that's right. You can go to the weather service.
Yeah, 162.
55.
You might find something there, and that'd have a pretty good signal. It's rough down here.
This is practically an RF shield.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you was upstairs, we could get near a window, you'd be good.
Yeah.
I could use the hand.
You got a window there.
Wrong window.
It's full of people. You look in there, it's full of
Take a
people.
sledgehammer to it, see if that'll help it.
162,
You don't know that group of
55.
people on the side watching us.
Yeah.
It's actually a psychologist class. We're trying to figure out.
They think
We're
we're
trying to figure out what's crazy people come out
There's
with.
something there.
Is that thing even use an IF strip for mid-frequency amplifiers, or is it just,
It's all software.
it's all software?
Yeah. Uses soundboard and computer.
I guess it would help if I went into FM.
Gary, how low does your SDR, what frequency does it bottom out at?
7 kilohertz on my end.
It goes, gosh, it goes down. I think it goes down to like 1, 2
Oh, okay.
kilohertz.
Yeah, they had 7 kilohertz.
It goes up to 2 gigabyte out there.
Mine's one of the old ones. I think it drops at the bottom about 50 megacycles. So I had to build.
Remember for sure, Dallas?
Yeah.
Now, I've got a small one that's like a thumb drive, you know,
Mhm.
plugs straight in USB port.
Yeah.
But I bought another one that does VHF too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger box, you know.
I had to build a converter, inverter, or whatever you want to call it, that takes the low frequency and bumps it up to the high frequency for mine to work.
That right?
But it did add sensitivity though.
But I was
Yeah.
looked at, looked at water antenna next to it. and I said, wow, what do we see?
Just trying to do a few things to bring it in a little better, but
Yeah, but it's pretty well molded.
well, I think I was going to say that this, you got to store a bunch of stuff down here. This building makes a very nice Faraday cage.
Yes, sir.
I can't even get the weather band. Nothing. That's right on Holston, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have no weather.
Okay. Well, at this point, are there any questions on the software? The other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to really delve into this memory. But for some reason, it is supposed to drop out the bands that whenever I select the frequency, it's supposed to, right here, limit what's going on. For some reason, it's not working. Now, this is not the laptop I use on my rig at home. On my rig at home, you select the frequency and it pops up, hey, it could be one of these stations. And it gives you 3 options. When you're outside of the ham bands, that's where that comes in so well. You're on some national defense frequency or some crazy things. And there are multiple libraries you can download off the internet. And once you have it, you can open a bank and select which one you're going to load next. Once you've downloaded it, you've got it forever. But the EID database is one of the main ones, free to download. And once you download it, you load it in here, that will work.
If you're on 20 meters, for example, how wide does that panadapter show the frequency bandwidth?
This thing will go wide enough to give you several bands if you want to go. But what I like to do is I like to zero in within the 20 meter band, just like a quarter of the band, where you can really see the signals well. Where you select them, you zeroed it in and you're right where you need to be to talk. You can't do that when you've got 20 and 30 meters both selected at the same time. It's just too much going on there. But right here, this is pretty much telling you how much do you want me to select. And you can select all the way up to 10 megahertz. Another thing here, this little bar right here is your CPU usage. And if you've got a slower, older computer, if this bar is getting up here towards the top, you're going to start having problems. It will start getting glitchy. And it'll stop for a second and then jump to the next item. And the way you control that is you can turn down the amount that you're looking at, or you can turn down your receive. This box here, what do they call that thing? Decimation. But you can turn it down and it will lower your CPU usage, but you're not getting as much sensitivity.
How fast the CPU you talking about?
Pardon me?
So how fast is the CPU your laptop need to be?
This one's a fairly new one. It's an i5, so it has no problems at the top of the spectrum. Yeah. When you select the 10 megahertz, it'll only let you do one for decimation. Just FYI.
Just as a point of reference, I run my Alexis with no problem on an i3.
Yeah, if you look at the computer requirements on the web page for this thing, it's nothing extreme. You don't need anything extreme to do it. Now, if you want to do the whole 10 megahertz at one time, yeah, you need to start going up on your CPU speeds and things like that. But if you're just looking at one band at a time, a couple of megahertz, it's not going to give you any problems. And if you select one of the bands here, it's going to automatically. That's interesting.
That wasn't a blue screen of death kind
What the hell they run on my old DOS machine?
It won't run on Commodore, Bob.
I'm just out of luck.
Anyways, with all that being said and done, does anybody have any questions? I really wanted to be able to browse around and show some signals, but it just doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that.
Not gonna happen.
Do you use an antenna tuner just to pick up certain frequencies on your antenna? Receive only, not transmit?
Let me think about that.
I
Well,
put it
I-
in
90
straight water. I just put it on bypass. I tell you, just for receiving, I just put it on bypass.
Okay, so have straight wire that resonates around 8
Yeah.
meters, can you pick up something, high frequency like 30,
Well, I don't know, you might try it. You might try it.
Now, I know my 590 SG, you know, it has the antenna tuner built in, and I normally hit the antenna tune button, and since the signal's coming out of the back of the rig of what you're seeing, I bet it's already tuned. So, if you're using an antenna tuner on your rig,
no, they just receive only.
for receive only,
Not for receive only.
I'm sure you could use an antenna tuner, but how would you,
How would you tune it?
how would you tune it? I mean, you can't get a transmit signal out to,
You just have to get it close for the noise to be.
Yeah,
Leave
resonance.
it on the noise, yeah.
Yeah, just tune it for resonance.
It's almost like using a pre-selector.
I'm just used to providing a carrier signal to tune by.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity to come. Sorry about the lack of signal reception here, at least when we did it at my club, I was able to get in on a couple of 2-meter conversations going on, and we were able to listen in.
It's an RF-proof room.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
you say it's steel
Oh,
walls.
yeah.
That's
I watched it go up.
what you're dealing
Fire
with.
inspector when they built it. And I was also sitting on the radio committee for Sullivan County for their $10 million 800 system, the first system they got. And I told them, I said, I told Motorola, those radios are not gonna work in this building. I said, you're gonna have to be up at a window somewhere. And they don't. There's no RF. They had to put repeaters in here just so your cell phone would work. When we first started meeting in here,
It was dead.
no cell phone.
Cells over the shell.
Interesting.
Were
Well,
you
that-
around when the hospital used to be in Bristol before they moved it out here?
Yeah.
I think it was over Bristol, Virginia, not too far from what used to be the Bristol Mall.
Yeah, right on the.
I broke it.
Kroger says. I'm old as dirt.
You like me, you helped make the dirt.
Yeah, I didn't like the dirt.
I'm old enough to have been around when that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
All right. Well,
yeah.
It,
Thanks for the presentation.
it's based on. Very interesting.